Welcome to the deep dive. We are jumping into a really fascinating realm of human potential today. We're moving beyond just motivational thinking and, diving into the actual nuts and bolts of what makes personal transformation stick. We've been poring over a stack of sources, and they all detail this blueprint for a massive internal shift. So our mission for you is, well, it's pretty straightforward. We're going to map out the journey from simply thinking about a new reality to genuinely living it. And we're going to focus on two really critical phases that the source material lays out: demonstration, and then this final state of internal harmony they call transparency.
Right, and you can't even get to demonstration without the foundation. The sources are very clear on this. You first have to achieve what they call internal order, and this isn't just, being calm for a few minutes. This order has to be so profound, so integrated that it becomes independent of your body, your environment, and even time. It's the whole platform.
That concept, being independent of the body and environment, that's where I really want to start. Because we're so used to the other way around, right? The external world dictates our internal state. A stressful job, traffic.
A difficult person.
A difficult person, yeah.
Huh.
Our emotions are just constantly reacting to things. And the core idea here, this measure of what the sources call greatness, is a complete reversal of that. It's when your environment is no longer controlling how you think and feel. Instead, how you think and feel is actively controlling or, influencing your environment.
You're shifting from being the effect
To becoming the cause. Exactly.
Precisely. I mean, if we're really talking about fundamental change, you have to break those automatic loops, the ones where the environment triggers the body releases chemicals, and that just reinforces the same old self over and over again.
Okay, so let's unpack that first huge stage, demonstration. This isn't just faking it till you make it. The source suggests you have to literally memorize a whole new state of being, a new personality.
So the point where it's automatic.
Yeah, so it's about keeping your emotional energy up, staying conscious in that new reality, no matter what's happening outside.
It's really the unification of your intention and your behavior. That's the litmus test. Demonstration is where your inner world has to perfectly align with your outer expression.
So if you intend to be abundant,
Your actions have to reflect abundance. Even if your bank account is telling you a different story, your actions have to equal your thoughts. And when that happens, when how you appear on the outside is truly who you are on the inside, the result is, well, it's liberation. The sources define it as freedom from that old, predictable self.
and when you're not constrained by those old emotional memories.
The side effect is just pure, unforced joy.
But I want to circle back. How can the internal order be independent of the body? I mean, we talk about stress hormones, neurochemistry. Isn't the body just tied to our environment?
That's a critical question. And when the source says independence from the body, it means independence from the body's conditioned emotional state. Think about it. Through years of stress or repetitive emotions like fear or judgment, the body basically memorizes an old identity.
An autopilot.
Completely. So the internal order you need for demonstration means achieving a neurochemical state that is so orderly, so coherent, that those old programs just can't run the show anymore. So think of it this way. When your mind and body are working in this high-frequency harmony, you get coherence. Your brain and your heart, they're communicating smoothly. They're creating this powerful electromagnetic field.
Okay.
And when that state is strong enough, no stimulus in the external world, which
Right.
is often incoherent.
Right. The person who cuts you off in traffic, that email that just ruins your morning.
Exactly. None of that can disrupt who you are being. You're just internally stable.
That really clarifies the shift. It's not about ignoring the environment. It's about building an internal operating system that's so resilient, it just filters the environment differently. It stops it from activating the old you. But, I mean, maintaining that resilience is the hardest part. The Force used a great analogy about this, about being inconsistent. You can't build a beautiful new house in the morning and then burn it down every afternoon.
Yes, the junk food analogy. It perfectly highlights the waste of energy. You can't spend 20 minutes in a high vibration meditation creating this amazing cocktail of joy and gratitude.
And then just spend the next 8 hours mindlessly reacting and stressing out.
It's exactly like eating the healthiest meal you can imagine and then snacking on emotional junk food for the rest of the day. The body just reverts.
It snaps right back to what's familiar.
Instantly. You negate all the hard work. To see any tangible signals of a new reality, you have to match your behavior with your goal. You have to live in that energy you created. The source is so clear on this. When you achieve demonstration, you are literally being the future you that already existed as a potential. in the quantum field.
Okay, so if demonstration requires us to be it all day long, what does that daily practice actually look like? In practical terms, it has to move off the meditation cushion and into the real world?
It's all about building a conscious scaffolding throughout your day, priming your consciousness. You're actively prompting yourself to stay present as that new ideal self. And that takes constant mental rehearsal, and you have to get the body physically involved with that new emotion.
Ah, so it's not just a thought.
No, it has to be a feeling. The
Mm.
sources give these really simple routines. For example, while you're in the shower, you actively give genuine thanks for 3 different things in your life.
Turning a routine into a moment of gratitude.
Exactly. Or during that stressful commute, you make a conscious choice to stay joyous, to stay connected. You refuse to let the traffic trigger the old anger.
What I find fascinating is the proactive part, the mental rehearsal. It's not just about reacting better when the trigger happens, but rehearsing before it even shows up.
That's the key. Before you see the boss who normally stresses you out or your kid who usually tests your patience, you remind yourself, how am I going to be in this interaction as this new self? You preload the neural network. You're creating the experience inside before it happens outside.
So that frames the whole day as this series of small, conscious experiments. But the reality is, we all slip up. Life throws a curveball and we revert.
Of course.
Which brings us to this crucial step, the self-correction at the end of the day. You have to be reflective. You have to be honest. And this is where we really want to encourage you, the listener, to use those end-of-the-day questions from the source material. First, how do I do today? But more importantly, when did I revert to my familiar self? And what specifically stimulated that shift?
And the purpose here is not to beat yourself up. It's not about criticism.
No.
It's precise, actionable self-correction. You're being an engineer of your own consciousness. You're trying to pinpoint the exact trigger, that text message, that look from a colleague, that moment of uncertainty, whatever it was that sent you back to the old state. And once you identify it, you move right into mental rehearsal. You don't just say, oh, I'll do better tomorrow.
Right.
You ask, if this exact thing happened again, how would I respond? What would my elevated self do? And by really contemplating that, rehearsing it in your mind, you are actively upgrading the model of your new self. You're installing a new neural network, preparing for next time.
Okay, so this is where it gets really interesting. We've done the work. We've maintained that coherent state all day. We've refined our strategy in the evening. Now we wait for the universe to talk back.
Oh, yeah.
What does this feedback actually look like?
You should absolutely expect tangible signals. These are not vague feelings, they're measurable. Things like synchronicities, new opportunities that seem to come out of nowhere, meaningful coincidences, a sense of flow where things just work out.
Better health, insights.
Better health, unexpected insights, revelations, new relationships that are supportive. This novel feedback is the concrete evidence that your internal work is. Well, it's working.
But why is that feedback so crucial? Can't we just trust the feeling inside?
Because the feedback is what allows for the critical realization. When these external things are the direct, noticeable result of your sustained internal effort, you can't help but connect the two. That experience is what proves to you that you are now operating by the quantum law. You stop doubting.
Let's break down that quantum law idea for a second. It sounds complex, but the idea behind it is actually a huge shift in perspective.
It's the ultimate paradigm shift. I mean, for most of our lives, we live by cause and effect. The environment is the cause. Our internal reaction is the effect.
We're victims of our circumstances.
Exactly. But when you get the quantum law, you flip it. You realize you are actively causing an effect by maintaining that internal state. You become the cause. Your reality becomes the effect.
That makes perfect sense. The old model was, I'll believe it when I see it.
Right.
The new reality is, I will see it when I believe it. The whole process just boils down to that ultimate daily test.
Can you be greater than your environment? Because your present environment is always, by definition, tied to your past, your old personality, your old memories. If you pass that test consistently, reality has to start moving to meet your mind. And this consistent success is what brings us to the stage of transparency. The sources define it as the final relationship where your life and your mind are just synonymous. There are no masks left.
So your outer world just reorganizes itself.
It reorganizes itself to perfectly reflect the order and the intention of your new mind, your relationships, career, health, everything.
I can only imagine how liberated that state must feel. What are the side effects of living with that kind of alignment? The sources talk about a pervasive state of joy, a freedom of expression, and this is interesting, a huge reduction in Analytical or critical thoughts, the internal chatter just fades away.
It fades because a lot of that critical thinking, judgment, analysis, it comes from the ego trying to control things or compare itself. If you're living in true coherence, any ego-driven thought, any negative judgment would immediately lower that elevated feeling inside you.
You wouldn't want to lose that feeling.
Exactly. You value that state above everything, so you naturally wouldn't compromise it with low-frequency thoughts. You're self-regulating by the feeling itself.
Okay, now this brings us to a profound paradox the material talks about. Once you connect to what they call this internal well of consciousness, the sense of personal wholeness is so deep that you actually find it difficult to want anything.
It's so counterintuitive, isn't it?
Yeah.
Especially in our culture, which is obsessed with manifestation and getting things. We're taught that creation needs desire. But wants and desires, they fundamentally come from a feeling of lack.
From a void or an emptiness.
Yes, something we're trying to fill with external things, people, circumstances, objects. But in a state of true wholeness, that lack is gone. You're already full. The irony is the moment you get to the space where you can create most powerfully, you realize you don't need anything external to validate you. You're already complete.
So that's the real difference, creating from lack versus creating from fullness. But if I feel whole, why would I even continue to create anything?
Because the drive shifts completely. That completeness leads to true unconditional love, to selflessness. When you feel that connected, that joyful, your greatest drive becomes giving and sharing that feeling. Creation continues, but it's not goal-oriented anymore. It's expression-oriented.
The sources describe it as just feeling right, like hitting a tennis ball perfectly in the sweet spot. No struggle, no force.
It feels effortless because it's flowing directly from that unified consciousness. It's unblocked by the ego's fear or survival emotions. It's just pure expression.
So for those who are really dedicated to living at this level, the source material offers one final, ultimate experiment, a way to definitively confirm you've made contact with this higher intelligence.
It is a big one.
It suggests asking that greater intelligence, the creator, beyond space and time, for a sign to confirm that deep, genuine contact has been made.
And the requirements for the sign are very specific. You ask the creator to send feedback in a way that is least expected.
It has to come from a totally new direction.
Right. It has to wake you up from the dream of the old self, leave absolutely no doubt where it came from, and be so cool and fun that you're just inspired to do it again.
So it can't be predictable. If the feedback is something you could have logically guessed, a text from an old friend, a small check in the mail, it's nothing new.
It's nothing new. To leave no doubt means it has to be startling, undeniable. It has to lift you into a state of absolute awe. And when that signal arrives, you shift into the mindset of a true scientist, an explorer. You know the internal work created the external result. You then use the emotion from that new experience, the joy, the surprise, the awe, as new, higher frequency energy for your next creation. It becomes an infinite feedback loop.
And connecting this back to the big picture, what is the ultimate purpose of this whole journey of demonstration and transparency?
The broader purpose isn't just about personal success. It's about removing the masks, the facades, the conditioned emotions that block the flow of this divine intelligence. Our goal is to express that greater mind through us. And this process changes our default expectation. We stop waiting for the worst-case scenario.
And we start expecting the miraculous. And once you realize you can create that kind of change in your own life, it naturally leads to more evolved questions. If you heal yourself of some long-standing issue, the goal shouldn't just stop there. That success should lead you to ask, okay, can I heal someone else with a touch? And if you do that, the next question might be, can I create something out of nothing?
And that's the truly provocative final thought from the sources. There is no limit to this adventure. We are only limited by the questions we dare to ask, the knowledge we're willing to embrace, and our ability to keep an open mind and, just as important, an open heart.
That brings us full circle. We've covered the rigorous process of aligning your inner intention with your outer expression, that's demonstration, and the profound promise of total harmony, that's transparency.
And just remember, when you consciously unmemorize those low-frequency survival emotions, the fear, the anger, the lack, you raise your frequency, you free yourself, you let a greater power and a higher electromagnetic expression come through you, which is, in fact, your natural state of being.
So before you wrap up your day, maybe take a few minutes for those end-of-day questions we talked about. How did I do today? And when did I revert and why? Start refining your new reality tonight. Start installing that new neural network. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.